Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. I'm Tyler Herring, and today I'm joined by Trey Sharp. How you doing, Trey?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just thrilled to be here.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. Now, today, I always hit the hardball questions. Always hit them with the old four-seamer and two-seamer, you know what I'm talking about?
I feel you.
So, basically, we're going to talk about your music career in high school at
All right.
Liberty North.
Sounds good.
Now, tell me, how'd you get into this whole music thing?
Well, it started around 6th grade. We were just picking out electives, or 5th grade, I guess. We were just picking out electives, and I'd done orchestra the previous year just because it sounded interesting, so I signed up for it again. And then both my brothers, my brothers have been pretty big influences on my life. My parents, they're lesbian, and so I had to look up to my brothers instead of a father figure or something. And they both took band, so just following in their footsteps, I took band, and so that's how it really started for me. And I've never quit, I guess.
What instrument do you do in band?
In band, I'm a percussionist. I'm in drumline and all that.
So, what all do you do in percussion?
Well, for marching season, like during football season and all that, it's mostly about just coordination and it's about like the drum line, and making like grooves and cadences, stuff to really go out and entertain with just the drum line. And but later during concert season, it's more about working with the band. So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can really either focus in on percussion and drumline and stuff, or you can open yourself up to everything the band has to offer.
So, what instruments are in drumline?
There's a lot of instruments. Drumline mainly. There's the bass drum, which is like the big heavy drums and make the big loud sounds. Then there's the snare drums, and those are usually what you hear. They're like typically the loudest drums, and they really keep the beat. And then there's the tenor drums, and those are like there's like multiple different pitches of those, and that's kind of where the actual, not melody, but just what you're listening for. It's where the groove comes in, I guess.
Okay. So what instruments have you done?
So far I have just done bass drum, but next year I'm hoping to get on tenors. I'm really excited for like I said, the grooving part of it. I'm really excited to get into all that.
So you're gonna continue this through your senior year?
Yeah. It's been an interesting path to do this for all 7 years of both middle school and high school. I'm really excited for next year, though. Going through it all 7 years, I think it's done a lot of good for me. Not only have I set up some scholarship opportunities for myself, but it's been a great way to meet people. I feel really dedicated to it, and I love drumming. It's really it's a me thing. I like doing it.
Do you continue to do anything related to drums outside of school?
Outside of school right now, I haven't tried anything, but I have considered joining some sort of band, whether it be rock or metal, something like that. I'd love to continue after high school. I just don't know what exactly has what's in store for me, I guess.
Well, it sounds like Spirit High needs to make a return tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for people who are listening, in 6th grade, or it was 8th grade.
Yeah.
8th grade, we created this band, right? And we couldn't think of a name, and so our original name was Spirit High.
Oh, yep.
A fantastic band because we lasted about 2 weeks, and I had a great time with it.
There was an Instagram and everything.
There was an Instagram and everything, man. I'm sure it's still out there. I think
Owen created it.
Owen
Yeah.
still has it,
Our good
but I'm
friend
not
Owen
sure.
Corpez. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out about that. Now let's bring this back to high school. So you do band and you've also done choir. So tell me about a little bit about the choir part.
Well, choir's been pretty exciting. It's the same thing. Both my brothers did it when they were in. They started it in high school, but I figure I'd get an early start. Because I'd seen them do choir performances and all that. I'd like to try this too, and that got me into singing. And singing is actually what led me to the third fine arts thing that I do. Theater led me into the musicals and all that. And singing has been it's been a great thing. I think singing in general just, it helps me forget about things, and I can really just fall into the music easily. A lot easier than I can with percussion, because with the words that come with choir, it's a lot more, you can connect to the music a lot more than, for say, if you're just playing on a drum. I mean, that's just kind of hitting a head,
I get you. It's another depth into
Exactly,
an art and into someone's creative mind, because you can see what someone does creatively whenever they're just writing music, but when you add lyrics upon that, you're now adding you're adding a deeper concept, a deeper grasp, and a deeper look into what an artist may be thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I can understand that. Me and you both did choir,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a fantastic experience. But of course, we get to 8th grade. Now, you want to let them know what
Well,
happened in 8th grade?
well, in 8th grade, there was a switch. We switched from so we had this teacher, Miss Amos, and she was a great teacher. I still think probably the best teacher I've ever
You
had.
really think so?
I really think so. She still has made an impact on me to this day. And in our 7th grade year, she retired, leaving us with a new teacher, Miss Benjamin. And let me tell you, she made 8th grade hell for me. She made me hate singing. Well, not hate singing. I still love singing. Maybe I was a little harsh, but it was a tough year for me. The transition, I didn't think it was handled too smoothly. One thing that I remember from that year is over 100 kids had dropped out of choir just because Miss Amos had left. And so, that already wasn't a great setup, but Miss Benjamin tried a lot of things that just did not work, and it made my 8th grade experience awful.
I think it's a difference in teaching philosophies and a different approach in musical
It really
philosophies
is, yeah.
too, where I think Miss Amos really focused on basically all types of music. Miss Benjamin really led towards more classical Christian music, which is fine.
Yeah,
And she also went after a lot more songs that people would know.
yeah,
And I don't think there's an issue with that. But the thing with it is that you see that music really sometimes can be less complex. And it seemed like, for me at least, we took a step back in complexity, and which isn't necessarily a bad thing, like all things, but it's just the fact that we had gone so far and then we're taking a huge step back. But I can understand where she's coming from whenever you don't know who's showing up and you're facing with a new audience. They don't like you and they don't know you. And I've heard a lot of good things ever since, but I'm not sure I necessarily enjoyed it, and I know you didn't enjoy it.
yeah. My experience was a lot different than other people's may have been, and I completely agree. The step back from complexity definitely did kind of kill it for me. I didn't feel like, not only that, but the music she picked, like you said, it was more popular music or Christian, had Christian tones, and I can't really relate to any of that music because I was never raised religiously, and I wouldn't say I really run with a popular crowd, so it just wasn't music I could really relate to, and it wasn't fun for me to sing.
Now, this gets me to an interesting topic here whenever you go to musicals and plays that you are in, because you are in theater. This is one of the 3 fine arts that you've also continued through all this time. And so, how could you tell me that's reflected on the popular music in that? Have you grasped a better tone with it, or have you kind of still separated from your other musical life?
I think I've separated them two very differently because the music that I sing for like choir or theater especially differs greatly from the music I would like to listen to on my own time. Like on my own time, I listen to creators like Kanye West, and like you would never sing a Kanye song in choir.
That's very true. It'd be very hard to do.
Yeah, so I think the separation of my music and the music that I sing is very great, I think.
So why don't you elaborate more on the music you listen to in your free
So the
time?
music I listen to, I listen to whatever sounds good to me, I guess. I generally rap. I would say is that my favorite genre. I enjoy not only '90s classics but modern creators are making some great things. I'm excited for Kendrick's new album.
Well, I'm hoping it's Kendrick's new album. We don't know for sure yet. It could be anyone else who signed with TDM or TDE.
We're
So
hoping
I'm
for
not
Kendrick
too sure.
though.
I am hoping for Kendrick because it is a day after my birthday, of course.
Oh, that would be exciting. Yes.
Yeah. Is
Uh,
there anything else you'd like to share about theater specifically?
Theater specifically, no. Theater has been. It's always been like the third thing, I guess. It's always just been band and choir have been the focuses because that's how, like I said, with band and choir both, I've set up scholarship opportunities for myself in both of those areas. But you can't get as far with theater. Not only is there just less opportunities, but it's harder to achieve opportunities. So theater has always just been something I did for fun. It was never as serious as the other two, and I think that's kind of separated it as like it. I don't see it the same like because band and choir those are not only just scholarship opportunities that I do them for the fun, but scholarship is great. But I've always just been able to chill out in theater a lot more. I haven't had to take it as seriously, and so theater has been really relaxing for me. I've enjoyed theater for that reason. It's been relaxing.
I think that's a really interesting look because most people who would be in your position not necessarily that everyone ever gets in your position of all three arts for this long,
Hmm.
but most people who are in any of those arts would consider band to be the third option, really.
Yeah.
And they consider either choir or theater first because they believe that you get more opportunities in that long term.
Yeah.
Do you see it that way as like a full, like if you were going in a career, you think that it would be better to go into those two or just or um, go into
Well,
band longer?
I guess it just depends on what you're looking for. Most people do prefer choir and theater first, just because I think a lot of people in both of those programs relate to a lot of people in those programs a lot better. I have just never personally been like a theater or choir kid myself, so I haven't connected to many of the people in those classes. And so that's why I think I've enjoyed band more and like seen it as more of like the first thing is because I actually have like friends in there. And not to say I don't in the other two, but I'm more social and I'm more relaxed in though or in band because I know people in there. But for theater and choir, it's more, you know, I don't know as many people in there, and so I think that's the reason why people are why people want to or prefer those. Say that would be like the first thing, you know. And I definitely think pursuing a career in both of those, both choir and theater, it would be it would be easy to do. Band, well, it wouldn't be easy to do. No matter what fine art you go into, it's gonna be rough out there. It's a hard field to get into.
It's a competitive field.
Seriously, yeah, and especially for theater, I believe, because you always want that juicy lead part, but you always get shoved into the chorus roles, But as with a choir, you're just looking for a part, You're just like a part of one singularity. It's not here's like the main character and then here's like the background character. So I think it's a lot easier for band or choir. Choir specifically is just it's a lot. How do I put
It's
it?
kind of the sweet in between.
Exactly, yeah. It's not as like there's not as much effort you have to put into like playing an instrument because that's you got to figure out all the keys and stuff. Like if you're playing a woodwind or a brass instrument or just all of the hand techniques for. But with choir, it's just singing. Everyone knows how to
Mm.
sing.
And I mean, I don't think it's as complex to have a technique for singing.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to argue with me out there, but I don't. Obviously, I think there's less technique in singing than there is in any other thing.
and I would
Like,
I would agree. Yeah.
yeah, it's much easier to be in choir, but really the question is in choir is it's hard to be good in choir.
Yep. Yeah. They're it's like easy to learn, difficult to master. It's
Exactly,
exactly
exactly.
like that. It's hard to find a truly yeah, and that's why it's such a competitive field is because it's so hard to find a good singer that when a good singer does come up it's hard to outshine them.
Exactly, exactly. Is there anything else you'd like to add on any of these three subjects? Anything you'd just like to share in general?
Well, I would say the way I've done this, doing all of these things all 3 years, it's been an interesting experience for me. You know, one thing that my friends have pointed out to me is that because I've done all these things, all 6 years of my school career so far, and I'm planning to for next year, that I haven't been able to go out and try as much as I could have. Because I've done band, choir, and theater all 3 years. I haven't seen what would woodworking be like or something like that. What would practical arts? I've never done a practical art. I've never done a foreign language class. There's a lot of things I haven't experienced about school that, kind of looking back, I regret not taking some of those classes. I would have liked to go out and try more. And but I don't regret taking band, choir, and theater all 6 years because I feel like those were the right programs for me. But I do wish that I could have at least tried some of those other things. So be willing to be open to new things. That's all I have to say.
That's great to hear, Trey. I've enjoyed having you on. I'm sure the
Thank you for having me.
audience has enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.